Hey everyone, it's Sarah with RegisteredNurseRN.com, and in this video I'm going to talk about car seat safety for your pediatric nursing classes. And as always, whenever you get done watching this YouTube video, you can access the free quiz that will test you on this content. So let's get started. As a nurse, you play an important role in teaching the parents about car seat safety. And this education actually starts at birth before the child even goes home from the hospital in their first car ride. So in this lecture, we're going to concentrate on the main concepts that you need to know as a nurse and for exams. First, let's talk about the 4 types of car safety restraints that you can use in a motor vehicle. The first type is called a rear-facing restraint. These restraints sit your child backwards in the vehicle with a 5-point harness. The next type is a forward-facing restraint, and this restraint sits your child forward in the vehicle with a 5-point harness. Next is the booster seat restraint, and this sits your child forward in the vehicle using the car's seatbelt system. And both the shoulder and the lap belt should be used together when using this type of restraint. And lastly is the seatbelt, and this sits the child forward in the vehicle using the car's seatbelt. And again, both the shoulder and the lap belt should be used together when using this restraint. Now, how do you decide what type of car safety restraint should be used on a child? Well, that depends on the following factors. The first factor deals with the child's height and weight and their development. Like, do they have any special needs or disabilities? You would want to take all of that into account. Next would be the height and weight limits set by that car seat manufacturer. Therefore, you really want to stress to the parent to become familiar with the manual that is included with the car seat safety restraint, because this manual will explain the height and weight limits, expiration date of the equipment, how to install and secure the child in the device. Now, when selecting a car seat safety restraint, you want to educate the parent that they don't want to solely go by the child's age, especially whenever it's time to upgrade the restraint. Instead, they want to look at these other factors, and they want to see how well their child's actually fitting in that restraint, because there's some signs that you can tell if your child actually fits in that restraint, which we're going to talk about here in a moment. Plus, they want to make sure that they're within those limits set by that car seat manufacturer. So now let's talk about some general guidelines to remember about car seat safety. First, it's important to remember that the back seat of the car is actually the safest place for a child 12 and under. Next, it's important whenever the child is in the car that the parent has the parental locks on the door on, so the child can't open the door whenever the car is on, and that the window locks for rolling up and down the window are on as well. And then when it comes to installing the rear-facing or the forward-facing car seat, you want to tell the parent to try to move the car seat. And they don't want it to move more than 1 inch from side to side or front to back. And if it does move, they want to try to retighten the car seat. And another thing is about how the child is dressed whenever they're in the restraint. So you want to make sure that you're not dressing the child in bulky clothes, because it could affect how the device works to secure the child. And lastly, it's important to remember that laws actually vary among states for car seat safety. And these laws tend to enforce the bare minimum for when using a car seat safety restraint. Therefore, it's really best to follow the American Academy of Pediatrics' latest guidelines for car seat safety, because they have the latest research and evidence that will help keep kids safe in a vehicle. Now let's dive into these different types of car seat safety restraints and talk about those main concepts that you need to know. So first, let's talk about the rear-facing restraint. So with this restraint, again, the child is going to be backwards facing in the car. So here's our driver, and in the back seat, they're going to be facing this way. So you start using this type of device at birth, and it can extend all the way up until that child is like a toddler or a preschooler, but it really varies depending on how that child is growing. So how long do they stay in this type of device? Well, they stay until they actually outgrow the rear-facing device. So whatever those height and weight limits set by that manufacturer of that device. And then they're switched to a forward-facing device. And this typically occurs around 4 years. But again, this varies among children. Now, you may be wondering, if you've been keeping up with car seat safety, what happened to that 2-year parameter, like when at 2 the child is typically switched to forward facing? Well, in 2018, the American Academy of Pediatrics actually removed that age criteria and just said whenever the child outgrows their rear-facing device is whenever they need to be switched. Now, there are different types of rear-facing devices that you want the parent to be familiar with because they have different height and weight cutoffs. So this is where it's very important that you stress again to that parent to become familiar with that manual that came with that car seat safety device. So for instance, here we have an infant rear-facing restraint, and this one has a base that actually stays in the car, and it's designed to be mobile where you can carry the seat part around. And this particular car seat has a weight limit of 5 to 22 pounds and a height limit of 19 to 29 inches. And then here we have a convertible rear-facing to forward-facing restraint. So it stays in the car, it does not have a base, and it's not mobile, so you can't carry the child around in it like with the other one. And in the rear-facing position, it's for a child up to 50 pounds, and for a child who's going to be sitting forward-facing, it will fit them up to 65 pounds. So as the nurse or the parent who has their kids secured in this rear-facing device, it's important that you look for signs that this restraint fits and it's secured properly. So these signs include that the child's head is 1 inch below the top of the restraint, the straps of the harness at the shoulders should be at or below the child's shoulders. You should not be able to detect any slack in the harness. So whenever you go to pinch it, you shouldn't be able to pinch the harness together. Also, the chest clip, when it's buckled, should rest at the level of the armpits on the child. And that it's normal as a child grows to not have as much leg room in the back. So you may start to notice that the legs start to come into contact with the back seat. And many car seat manufacturers are actually adding an extension panel to help with this since children are staying in this rear-facing position longer. And I know as a parent, especially with my first child, I was concerned about this, but they really recommend just using that extension panel and not switching your child to the forward-facing position just because of this occurring. Next is the forward-facing car seat restraint. Now, whenever a child uses this, they are going to be sitting this way in the car. So normally how you would sit in the car, but they're going to be in this special car seat that has a 5-point restraint. So they will use this once they outgrow that rear-facing car seat device. And they typically start using this whenever they're preschool age, and it extends up to school age. Now, when will a child switch from forward-facing to a booster seat? Well, whenever they outgrow that forward-facing device. And this typically is around about 6 years of age, but again, this varies depending on the child. So again, this is where you really want to know those limits, those height and weight limits of that specific device, and to know the signs to look for that your child actually fits in this forward-facing device and that they're secured properly. And this includes that the helix of the ears are below the head of the restraint. So in other words, those tops of the ears are below the top of the restraint, and that the straps of the harness at the shoulders should be at or above the child's shoulders. Also, you shouldn't be able to detect slack in the harness, like when you attempt to pinch it like with the rear-facing device. And the chest clip, when it's buckled, should rest again at the level of the armpits. Next is the booster seat. So with the booster seat, the child is going to be sitting forward in the car just like normal, but they're going to be sitting in this special seat that is going to use the car's seatbelt system. So they need to use both the shoulder belt and the lap belt in order for the booster seat to work correctly. So this is used when the child outgrows that forward-facing device, and they typically start using this whenever they're school age, and they'll continue to use the booster seat until they're ready to use just the seat belt of the car. And this again varies for children, but typically when the child is the height of 4'9" and anywhere between 8 to 12 years of age. But what are those signs that you need to look for that tells you that your child is ready for this booster seat and that the booster seat actually fits them securely enough to provide them protection? Well, there's some things you want to look for. First, you want to look at their development. How do they obey instructions? Can they obey your instructions to sit quietly in the car? They're not going to try to unbuckle themselves throughout the car ride. And also, you want to look at the shoulder and lap belt position on the child's body to see how it's fitting them. So the shoulder belt should sit across the middle of the collarbone and the chest. It should not be up around the face or the neck. And the lap belt should be positioned on the lower part of the hips, not on the abdomen, just where the upper part of the legs are. And it's important to know and educate the parent that whenever they put them in that booster seat, that lap belt should go under the armrest on both sides of the booster seat and not above it, so the child can be as secure as possible. And then lastly, we have the seatbelt restraint. So with this, the child is going to be sitting forward in the car, but they're not going to be in any device that's going to keep them secure. Instead, they're going to be sitting in the seat of the car using the shoulder and the lap belt together. And this is used once that child outgrows the booster seat. So this typically occurs when the child is preteen, so it could maybe occur a little bit before or after. Again, that really varies on the child. And it will extend throughout their lifetime. Anytime they ride in a car, they should wear a seatbelt. So we want to look for signs that our child is ready for the seatbelt and actually fits in the seatbelt. Therefore, they should be secured in a position that's going to look similar to what it looked like in the booster seat, but without the booster seat. So that shoulder and lap belt should be similar in the way it looks, and they should be comfortable, proportional, and they should be developmentally ready. So here you're going to see a picture of a child who is not ready for a seatbelt. So notice that the shoulder strap does not set across the shoulder in the middle of the collarbone at the chest. Instead, it's up at the face. And that lap belt does not set across the lower part of the hips at the upper thighs. Instead, it's on the abdomen, and this is not where we want it. Plus, the child's legs do not dangle down very well, and they do not bend over that seat. And in addition, you would want to make sure that the child's back is able to comfortably set up against the back of the seat. So based on what we just seen here, this child would need to stay in a booster seat, and they're not quite ready for a seatbelt restraint. So now let's test your knowledge about the content we just covered. Okay, so we have a child and you're helping the parent install a forward-facing car seat. After installing the car seat, you place the child in the car seat and buckle it. Which two findings cause concern and require action? A, the top of the child's ears are above the top of the restraint. B, the shoulder straps of the harness are found above the child's shoulders. C, the buckled chest clip is found 1 inch below the armpit level. Or D, you're unable to pinch the sides of the harness together. So to help us answer this question, we have to think about those signs that I talked about to let us know that this child actually fits in this car seat. So our child, we're told, is in a forward-facing seat. So we want to look at our options and we want to make sure we don't get forward-facing and rear-facing confused, because they have little subtle differences that you want to look for. So for this specific question, the answer is A and C. And these findings demonstrate the child doesn't fit this restraint, because that's what we're looking for. And this restraint is not secured properly, because the top of the child's ears should be below the top of the restraint, and the buckled chest clip should be at armpit level, not 1 inch below it. Okay, so if you would like more free quiz questions, you can access the link below, and don't forget to access the other videos in this pediatric nursing series. And thank you so much for watching.